Chyna leaves the WWF in 2001 under a cloud, really. Contract disputes going on, these personal issues involving Triple H and Stephanie. Doesn't get her big swan song. Doesn't get a nice kind of send off. She's just kind of gone.
I think they got rid of her quietly because of Triple H.
Yeah, they didn't renew the contract.
I think she was sat in a restaurant or like a cafe or something, and she basically got a fax through saying, on. Nice.
Imagine getting a fax.
I know, right?
But the problem is that by the time this happens, there is a monopoly. So even if this has happened 2 years earlier, for a fact should have been on WCW Nitro within her 90 days were up and should have been huge in Nitro. There is nowhere for her to go, really, by this point. TNA at this time doesn't exist. She does have a stint in New Japan, and she is the first woman, I believe, to wrestle there against men. And she does later have a brief time in TNA, but really, after her WWF run, that is her career over to a large degree in wrestling.
The pinnacle moment that set her on the downwards path, because you can see how in later wrestling matches and stuff, you can just see her starting to go mentally downhill.
Yeah, and
that was the pinnacle. What did it? And I'm not pointing fingers at people to blame for her passing, but Triple H and Stephanie didn't help. That's what set her off.
Yeah, and I be fascinating to think obviously what starts off as a affair between the two of them ends up becoming what it has become now, this 25-year long marriage and where they are. But yeah, she was undoubtedly collateral damage. I believe for a long time, Joanie was romantically intertwined with Sean Waltman, obviously X-Pac from DX.
Which again didn't help because obviously they were both addicts, and two addicts together is a recipe for absolute disaster.
Yeah.
I mean, we were talking political, and a bit of kayfabe in it too. If you remember, even her storylines, in any romantic storyline she was involved, whether, I don't know if it was just the easiest way for them, whether it be Mark Henry or Eddie Guerrero, the end of that relationship is exactly the same, that the guy cheats on her and then she dumps him. But with her Triple H storyline, she turns on Triple H, which in real life, it's the other way around. So it's just so bizarre now thinking about it. And
yeah, and the later years of her life are heartbreaking. She kind of transitions into reality TV, Surreal Life, Celebrity Rehab, these bunch of VH1 specials. Obviously, it's well documented. A lot of issues with substance abuse, legal troubles. Adult film work. There's all this kind of stuff of a woman who was clearly really struggling and didn't have a support network around her, didn't have the right people around her helping her.
100%. Like, if you watch that documentary, the Vice one, towards the end, like I can never get it out of my head. She sat on the floor going, "I am Chyna," and she is having a absolute breakdown. She is crying for help. Like, she thinks nobody loves her. Like, in her head, she had no one. She was alone, and nobody stepped in. Like, I know you can't help people but like, for someone to feel that so much alone, it's actually sad to watch. Like, it's heartbreaking. Like, this legendary wrestler that had it all, and she thinks nobody loves her, and she's having a mental breakdown on the floor.
I think the thing was also, like, prior to her getting into wrestling, she had a very difficult childhood and upbringing and stuff, and I think she was very close to her sister, and apparently when she got into wrestling, it was like she was as if she was feeling that, great sense of like a family, apparently. And that's what I was watching something, and so she was like, so I think wrestling was everything to her. So I think that's why when that was taken away from her, she was back to perhaps where she was prior to wrestling. So I think wrestling was her life,
Which I can identify with, because for me, bodybuilding is my life, and I've got a family within bodybuilding now. Like, that's my support network. If that was taken away, I don't know what I'd do, because that's like my life. I say to people, I'll die in the gym. Like, if that was taken away, I don't know where I'd be, because that's my mental stability.
Yeah, and it was, it was so cruelly taken away from her, and so, so like a straight cut. Like, you're out of here. You're not part of the WWF anymore. You're not in this family. You're not mentioned. Like, it was many, 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 many years before she was mentioned. Like, much
completely
like Sable,
blackout.
Yeah,
I think they went to WWE headquarters at one point in that documentary, and they were basically ushered out the building. This is a woman that's worked for you and made your company bigger, and she was ushered out the building by security.
I mean, how can you talk about this word women's evolution is being, kind of marketed and talked about? How are you gonna take the woman out? How can you take Chyna out, who was the evolution of women's wrestling? How can she not be part of that conversation? I don't understand.
And I still don't think she's really part of that conversation enough. When we talk about the women's revolution and the evolution, they often, especially with WWE, they often hark back on a lot of people from the same era. So it's always kind of Trish Stratus, Lita, Ivory, Molly Holly, Jacqueline, Jazz. You don't hear Chyna's name. Yeah.
No. And they're trying to almost, in a way, turn Rhea into Chyna. There's very similar storylines. No disrespect, Rhea's a good wrestler. Get out of it. Chyna's the girl.
And Rhea seems to have her head really screwed on as well, in terms of good balance, from what I've seen, between good balance between work and play and boundaries, and seems to have a good support network around her and be grounded. And I think that's what we're seeing a lot more with this generation of wrestlers, is they... I don't know if they're more protected, but it certainly felt like in the 90s they were really left to do.
They were just left, used and abused almost. But they WWE themselves kind of try and market her a bit like Chyna, and it's like, please stop.
Yeah,
I mean, the treatment of Chyna is kind of synonymous with Benoit. I would say, just a complete blackout. You didn't exist.
Yeah, but with no reason on her part, and that's what must have been so hard for her to.
She's done nothing bad.
Nothing wrong.
She's not done a Benoit. How many girls do OnlyFans and stuff these days? Come on, it's not that bad.
No, it's not at all.
I don't think it's
in today's era. It's nothing, and it's quite interesting, because in some of the documentaries I've seen as well, I've seen. Tammy Sitch, Sunny, talking about their friendship that they developed in later life. And I don't know the relationship there.
I don't know, because I've heard things that she's kind of makes up stories. I don't know how true that is. No, I'd take that one with a pinch of salt.
And I was watching it on this documentary, preparing for this. One of the many Chyna documentaries, being like, is there truth in that? She's talking about kind of how they bonded over rehab and how she was one of the last people to call her, and
story tells. I don't know how true that is. I don't know, but
you can to play devil's advocate. You could see a friendship being there, because actually both of their lives, they both suffered a lot of tragedy. They were both spat out by the wrestling industry. They both followed similar paths with addiction and adult film industry and stuff like that. They were both pretty much persona non grata within WWE. The difference being, of course, Sunny does get inducted into the Hall of Fame. Despite all of that, she gets her moment on the stage. There was more than enough opportunity, because it's not until 2016 that Joanie passes away. So many opportunities for her to be inducted in, and I hope it happens posthumously, but it should have happened in the 15 years after she
Yeah.
left the company,
Definitely.
without question. And for politics, that and old grudges and everything to have played such a role to overshadow, there are two women that should be in the WWE Hall of Fame, regardless of politics, and that's Chyna and Sable, without question. Without those two women, you don't have a women's industry like you have today.
100%.
Questionlessly, and both of them deserve to be in the Hall of Fame at one day. Whether either of them ever will is questionable. Yeah, but kind of want to kind of, to bring this to a close, just kind of talk about the later years of her life, because there are things when I was doing my research which I didn't realise, and I'm sure you know more about this, Sarah. But I've read that Joanie moved to Japan to teach English and practice spirituality, so that's quite interesting. So I don't know if she'd conquered some of her demons and were able to move into another chapter of her life.
She seemed to be doing all right there. So she was obviously out there teaching, and she seemed to be doing all right. I think her passport expired and she couldn't get back, but her manager wanted to bring her back over to start filming the Resurrection of Chyna documentary, which is from the Vice documentary, where you start seeing it when they flew her back. And the pain medication kit was got for her and all that kind of stuff. And the downfall happened.
Do you think there was an intention for her to potentially use that as a springboard to get back into wrestling?
Potentially, yeah. I think it was like the Resurrection of Chyna, so they wanted to get her back into the wrestling. Obviously, she started touring the Comic-Con scene, which at parts of that she did find it difficult, because we're going back to being quite disrespectful. People were being disrespectful and taking like pictures they shouldn't to sign, being very disrespectful towards her, so that obviously set her off. But I think that was probably the intention, kind of getting Chyna back into the whole wrestling scene, as it were.
Yeah. It's just one of those, we've covered a lot of stories on Gone Too Soon, and some of these have been really quite heartbreaking to do. We've, Ash and I have recorded about Owen Hart, and, we've recorded about Bray Wyatt very recently. And there are some, they're all wrestling tragedies, but there are some that are particularly sad. And the story of Chyna is one of them. She should still be here today. She should be getting her flowers. She should be there on a Legends deal in the Hall of Fame, really respected for what she brought to business. I'm so glad that you were able to join us for this. I'm so glad that you're doing what you're doing, Sarah, because I think you are undoubtedly keeping her spirit alive, and I think that's why people are kind of gravitating towards you so much. It's not just that you look like her. I think it's the fact that, especially through this conversation, it's clear you're seeing the world very much how she saw it through her eyes. And I think I've
kind of always been like that. Like, my mum brought me up, treat people how you want to be treated. So I'm nice to people. Like, I would rather go out there and be like, you don't know what's going on in someone's life. So like, I'd rather pay someone a compliment, because they're probably having a really crap day, and you're like, oh, you like something about them, just say something nice. It doesn't hurt you. Like, you say something nice, you could have made someone's day that's having a really crappy day. But if you go out there and want to go out there and be horrible and spiteful to people all the time and spread hatred, that says more about you as a person and your soul than anything else. Like, why be that person?
Well, the next person that says an unkind comment to you, I want you to channel you in a Chyna and just give them a massive low blow.
I mean, I might get arrested. I like to have my little witty comebacks.
Yeah.
Make it look like an accident.
Yeah. Oh no, I slipped on the banana skin.
Accidentally clotheslined you.
I just touched him and he fell over.